Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again in this live section. So I want you guys to actually, what is really happening, like Tinubu's bail conditions on Mazi Nnamdi Kalu's case, saying that if Mazi Nnamdi Kalu agrees to sign this, that means his freedom is here. Now, in today's live session, we are going to be looking at the terms and conditions that the federal government, led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is secretly offering to Nnamdi Kanu before they can release him unconditionally. According to Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution, that gives the president the prerogative of mercy or right to free anybody. But meanwhile, remember I told you people yesterday that Obi Aguche, that's Honorable Obi Aguche, who normally visits Mazi Nnamdi Kalu. He came out yesterday and revealed that the federal government and Nnamdi Kalu's family and Nnamdi Kanu's legal team are seriously having a behind the door or closed door, negotiations about how to release Mazi Nnamdi Kalu and the way forward on how to free this particular man, Mazi Nnamdi Kalu, from the DSS dungeon. And in all that, in this particular live session, I'll be telling you guys what are the conditions that Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave to Mazi Nnamdi Kalu for his release. Now, I'm going to be telling you guys more interesting thing. Remember that James Omotosho shifted this particular case to October 10th, and this federal government now wants to use this particular time, period of 2 months to start this particular negotiation and all that. Like I told you people that even they don't negotiate with Mazi Nnamdi Kalu, Mazi Nnamdi Kalu already is innocent and he's definitely going to be set free. And the federal government knows that they cannot sustain or probably prove any case against this particular man. So the best option for them, other than them being disgraced in the court at the end of the day, is to seek for a way to settle out of court. Now, don't mind them. They will come out and tell you publicly, we are not seeking any out of court sentiment, this and that. But believe me, they're actually negotiating with Mazi Nnamdi Kalu's family secretly. Meanwhile, as I'm always here to tell you guys, this is normally what we used to do. I want you guys to actually go to the comment section and type free Mazi Nnamdi Kalu and also say justice can be delayed and but can never but be denied. I want us to also join our voice in the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kalu. Please, this is the last, even if it's the least thing we are going to do for Mazi Nnamdi Kalu, please, let's just do it. Go to the comment section and type release Mazi Nnamdi Kalu or free Mazi Nnamdi Kalu, and also say justice delay is not what justice denied. So let's continue. And you guys know that the people have been saying that they should release Mazi Nnamdi Kalu, unconditionally. That they should not just come and be saying they should release this man unconditionally. That is what many people have been saying. That is the only term and condition Nnamdi Kalu has been offering to the federal government, that they should release him unconditional. That is innocent. Meanwhile, the first thing that the federal government will actually offer to Mazi Nnamdi Kalu as a condition before they can release him with the prerogative of mercy is that is the reconciliation of his agitation. So they say that the government, might expect Mazi Nnamdi Kalu to renounce his agitation for Biafra, at least commit to a non-violent method as conditions for his release. So they're saying that what if for them to release him, the federal government is saying that he have to denounce Biafra. That is the only time that they can release him. And Mazi Nnamdi Kalu, if you give conditions to a man, to an innocent man, and these conditions cannot favor him, what will happen? He will not accept it, because you giving him conditions is like you trying to put him in prison. He's just like a man living in prison. That is what they're trying to do. And Mazi Nnamdi Kalu, in the way things are going, I don't even think he's going to accept that kind of condition. He will not at all. Because number one, I even asked myself, prerogative of mercy is what? Is for criminals that committed an offense and need to be bailed. They will just say, okay, let's do a prerogative of mercy for them. But in this case, Mazi Nnamdi Kalu is not a criminal. He's not. He's innocent. And by the way, we are supposed to even use justice. It should be justice that should be served for Mazi Nnamdi Kalu, because he's not even a criminal in the first place. So you guys remember, like what I told you yesterday, that Honorable Obi Agocha, one of the few people who regularly visit Nnamdi Kalu in detention, revealed that they are currently intense behind the scenes negotiation going on. According to him, Kanu's family and legal team are locked in serious closed door meetings with the federal government, and the terms about his terms of his release. They've been saying that there's nothing like settling out of court. You cannot settle out of court. But obviously, these people are behind closed door talking about the negotiation of what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, this comes right after Justice James Omotosho pushed the case to October 10th. And you see, this 2 months window is exactly what the federal government wants to use to negotiate their way out before the court exposes them. Please, before the court exposes them, because let's be honest, they know they can't prove anything solid against Nnamdi Kanu in court. They know if this case goes full trial, they will be disgraced. So their only option now is to settle out of court, even if they publicly deny it. In publicly, they will deny that there's nothing like settling out of court, but behind closed doors, they're actually negotiating with what Kanu's family and his legal team. Now, before we continue, please don't forget to go to the comment section and type justice can be delayed but never be denied for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And also, I want you guys to also type free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This is the least we can do to keep supporting him as he remains in DSS custody since 2021. That is not even an easy battle, but and we must keep his spirit alive. All right, let's just move on to what we have today. So you guys know that the conditions they've already given Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The federal government have given him conditions like he should renounce. He should renounce Biafra. That is what they are telling him, that he should renounce Biafra. And people are saying Mazi Nnamdi Kanu cannot do all these things. He cannot renounce Biafra. It's just like putting him in prison. You're just like putting him in prison. Okay, you're telling him that he should be released, and you're also making him he's not enjoying his life while he's being released. That is what it means. You're releasing somebody and you're making him not enjoy his life. Does it really make sense? It doesn't make sense. It's just like putting him under chains. You're telling him to go, that he's not a free man, but you guys are giving me restriction that should not travel to another country. Not going to be doing in the southeast that they seaport. Maybe if they do this, then Mazi Nnamdi Kanu can actually try to listen to their own conditions. But since they've not yet done since the federal government have not done what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told them to do, I don't think it's even possible. I don't think Mazi Nnamdi Kanu would agree to that. Now, this is his first condition given to him by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He says renounce Biafra agitation. A 2016 statement, though under a previous administration, outlined a proposal where Kanu and his courts would renounce the agitation for a Biafran state in exchange for conditional release. This served as a precedent for later demands. Now, the second one was any conditional offer by Southeast legislators. In July 2024, Senator Eyinaya Abaribe and other Southeast lawmakers conveyed that Kanu had indicated the readiness to fulfill any condition that would lead to his release. They were described as set by the government and delivered through political intermediaries and the AG offices. Now, clarification from Kanu's legal team. IPOB counsel Aloy Ejimako later clarified that Kanu had not agreed to comply with any condition arbitrary imposed. Instead, he would only aid by negotiated terms, meaning agreements mutually agreed upon by both sides, not government-led unilateral demands. Now, Kanu's own conditions for trial resumption. This was Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's own conditions for trial resumption. In April 2024, Kanu's legal team presented 3 conditions for resuming his trial. So, opposed to release negotiation. He said the restoration of his previously granted bail so he could prepare his defense. Acceleration of prosecution under those restored bail conditions, assurance of fair trial procedures after prolonged unlawful detention. These were internally procedural conditions tied to legally due process, not release terms, and were firmly opposed by the federal government. So this was the condition type that they gave to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Renounce Biafra agitation. That is what they said. Now, Kanu reportedly, now the next one was fulfill any conditions. and this was the source was coming from Senator Abaribe and SC was legislator. And Kanu reportedly agreed to what government was set conditions. Now, negotiate mutually agreed terms. This was Aloy Ejimako clarification on July 24. Terms must be negotiated and what not imposed. Now, legal conditions for trial, court proceedings, that's April 2024, bail restoration what and what fair hearing. So these were the things that they told Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to do. He should renounce Biafra. And I've actually sat down and thought about this. You cannot tell a man who has been solely, like, he has been deeply rooted in Biafra to just wake up one morning and you guys are telling him to come and denounce he should come and denounce Biafra. I don't think it's going to happen, because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told them that no matter what you guys are trying to do, the thing here is that he said, I must make sure that Biafra comes to pass. And all of a sudden, you guys are giving him condition that he should denounce Biafra. I don't even think that one is going to come to pass. Mazi Kalu told them that even in death, if it's like let them do anything they want to do, I must make sure that Biafra was comes to pass. And Mazi Kalu was not joking about that. He wasn't joking about, because if you look at exactly what is happening now, he meant everything he was saying. Now, he meant everything he was saying, because like I told you guys that, you see, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, never you joke with a man that can keep his family aside for Biafra. Never you joke with a man that decided to lay down his life for Biafra. Never you joke with those kind of people. You see those kind of people, you can never, no matter the money you offer them, no matter how you carry out the case, once they tell you that we're not, but there's no going back, there's no going back. That is just one thing that people don't understand. But believe me, they have been saying that they are not going to settle out of court. They're not going to settle out of court. I'm going to tell you guys today that these people are planning behind doors on how to settle out of court with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But the Nigerian government are always coming out publicly to deny that. I'm telling you guys the truth. But believe me, they're actually negotiating with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's family. Meanwhile, they're out here in public denouncing it. And you guys know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have been in continuous detention, and it has not been an easy thing for him. Since 2021, this man has been in continuous detention in the DSS dungeon. They have been in continuous detention. So they say that the government might expect Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to renounce his agitation for Biafra, at least commit a non-violent method as conditions for a release. We all know that this is the number one. I've said it here, even the dump, or I've said it here countless times. Even the dump, or probably anyone or a kid, knows that this is the first thing that the federal government will ask Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to do, to drop his, agitation for secession. And the question is, will Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, we all know, agree to this particular term and condition? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that we all know, will he actually agree to this particular term and conditioning? Then highly, it is impossible. I don't think it's possible for him to do that, and probably that is one of the reasons why he's in detention. It is not today that the federal government have started to make offers to him and all that, but I think he's a bit, he's a bit, he's a man that is full of his own conviction and does not try to change his stance or publicly compromise his opinion or public or substance. So this is the number one thing that the federal government is going to know. Is going to, you tell him to do. And I've often said it that even if you want this man to drop his agitation for secession, the first of all, you must fix. There are certain things that the federal government must first of all do, or fix some of the things that they actually warranted him to start his agitation at the first place. There's so many things that warranted Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to start his agitation. So many things. So if the federal government wants to really release him, they should first of all start fixing all those things that made him to start broadcasting about Biafra in the first place. So if now another thing is, if Igbos were not actually marginalized, I don't think Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will start the Biafra agitation. I don't even think he's going to start talking about Biafra if Igbos were not marginalized. So in this case now, what the federal government should do is try to fix this Igbo marginalization. Is there any place that the Igbos are missing at? He should try to start bringing Igbos together. That is what he has to do. He should start bringing Igbos together. So if I were to be the federal government, the first thing I would do is to find a way to start solving those issues of marginalization, which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu complained about. Something like open up the economic corridors of the eastern region. All the economic corridors of the eastern region has been shut down, and none of the seaport has been in existence or is functional in the entire eastern region. economic region. The river Niger that they asked him to dredge so that at least the eastern region can actually have an access to a port. They have not done that. Even a railway system that he told them to do, nothing. The industrialization and fair share in political equations for the Igbos, none has been done. So before you come to offer for someone to stop something, you must actually find a way to address the root cause of the issue. That's why that's the only possible way you can actually, romance the person, and the person might then have an alternative, maybe thought to actually drop his agitation. But this one, you've not they have not made any effort to solve these issues of marginalization against Igbos, but you just want the person to drop the agitation, which I told you guys is not going to be possible. They have not done anything. They have not done anything to fix the marginalization. Like, that's the real main thing that Mazen and Kalu started this Biafra agitation. They have not done anything. People just want him to drop the agitation like that. No, it's not possible. From the federal government, what he will do is to go and listen to all the broadcasts of Mazen and Kalu and listen to everything he said about the Southeast. Then, if you guys can fix all those things he said about the Southeast, then fine and good. Mazen and Kalu would gladly want to even drop the Biafra agitation. That is, if all these things are done. But if all these things are not done, I don't think Mazen and Kalu will agree to all these conditions given to him by the federal government. Like I often said it here, that solving the abuse of these things, will definitely put an end to a lot of things. But the Nigerian government do not want to do it because, like I often told you guys, they enjoy the marginalization. They enjoy the marginalizing the Igbos. They enjoy the 1999 constitution that allows the Igbos to keep on being marginalized. I can't keep on repeating what I've said here, that the Igbos have been marginalized even to today. That is why somebody will hit his chest and tell you that Igbo man cannot become president. And you'll be wondering, what why would they say such a thing? They will just come out and tell you an Igbo man cannot be president because of the 1999 constitution that's giving them the audacity to say such a thing. You see, that 1999 constitution, it is not favoring the Igbo people. It is only favoring the Northerners and other people. But you see, the Igbos, it is not. That's why Mazen Namdekali was bent down on telling them to rewrite the 1999 constitution, because he has actually found out that this 1999 constitution is not favoring the Igbo people at all. He found out that 1999 constitution, I don't know who wrote that constitution, but honestly speaking, that constitution is not favoring the Igbo people at all. And something needs to be done about it. And that's why you see Mazen Namdekali is trying on his best. He's trying on his best to make sure that they rewrite that 1999 constitution. You see them, they will come out and say, an Igbo man cannot be president in the country because of that 1999 constitution. But meanwhile, you don't want them to be president. You don't want them to, occupy topest office or the top office in the country. So before you ask him to do this, you must actually do this and sort out this. So that is number one. Let us go to other conditions that the federal government are trying to offer to Mazen Namdekalo. Now, so some of the other condition is that, number one is that if they release Nnamdi Kanu, that Nnamdi Kanu, as a matter of fact, will be under house arrest and will not travel. There will be travel restrictions on him. They will not make any public broadcast, and then he will be irregularly reporting to authorities, which is similar to what they told him some years ago, that he will not make public broadcast, that they will not, he will not make public broadcasts. He will not travel outside the country. He will not be granted interviews. He will keep on reporting to the authorities. Like I've often said here, that this literally did not sound like freedom. This literally sounded like someone who's what in cell. That if they should grant him freedom, maybe on the 10th of October, that's being the next court session, that he will do all these things. He will not grant a public interview. He will not be seen, outside the country. And I asked, among 10 people and all that, and this and that, does this really sound like freedom? Among all all these conditions have been giving him, does all these things sound like freedom? Because it seems that they don't want him to enjoy his life, or probably to enjoy his freedom, because all these things they're telling him to do is more like someone that is equally in prison. That is what I see. It's like someone that's equally in prison. You cannot tell somebody to do this, do that, and the person is not enjoying his life. You say you want to release the person, and still the person you're releasing is not enjoying his life. That is not freedom. That is detention. That is what detention, honestly. And that is really detention. And if care is not taken, I don't think Mazen Namdekalo is even going to listen to that condition. By the way, say, why would they even be saying Mazen Namdekalo should be released with conditions? What happened to release him unconditionally? He's not a criminal, so why would they be telling him to? Why would they be saying they should release him conditionally? He's not a criminal. It's only a criminal you can say, okay, they should release him what conditionally. Now let us talk about the open grazing ban on Nnamdi Kalu's detention. their cattle to roam around and infringe on people's rights, our farms and co. The Buhari government refused to do that. Even when the southern leaders, as of then, came out together and said, we are putting a ban on open grazing by late Rotimi Akorede of Ondo State. The northern leaders started fighting they will actually impose a ban on the south and assume their businesses in the north. They made the ALUA group, which is also a terrorist group, but the federal government failed to declare them as terrorist group. Came out and said that nobody, they came out and said that nobody has a right to put a ban on open grazing, that they can graze anywhere, move around freely, and do whatever they want to do. That is their fundamental right. You could imagine. And the federal government kept shouting. People were being unalived in all many parts of the southern and east states, and they couldn't do anything. But immediately Nnamdi Kanu spoke of his people and addressed this issue, and they started, maybe he called for his self-defense and co. They started calling him all sort of names. What I'm saying is this: that before you offer these conditions to him, before you offer these conditions, you must make sure that all these things are put in place. There's nothing too big about placing a permanent ban on open grazing, because the Buhari government refused to do it because of the people committing those acts who were his people. The Buhari government refused to do that because they have found out that people who were doing this are his people. So they refused to put a ban on open grazing. And open grazing has dealt with lot of us over the years. It has dealt with lot of us over years, and I don't think that we need to fold our arms and watch all these things happen. No, we don't need to actually fold our arms and watch all these things, because if you don't do something now, it's going to be worse. I'm telling you guys the honest truth. If you don't do something now, they're saying that they're giving him condition. You're giving someone condition without fixing it, without fixing what the person is really fighting for, without fixing the marginalization. Now, let us think about the hate-based leverage. DSS medical report shows how Kanu's health was deteriorating. Federal government alleging using his leverage, offering conditional release for him to drop any lawsuits against the government for illegal detention. The idea is to avoid huge compensation claims in international court. Now, let's talk about the political neutrality clause. Some reports say the federal government wants Kanu to stay away from politics until after 2027. This would silence him during Tinubu's critical re-election period. Media silence condition, a major condition alleged being discussed, no public broadcast or radio broadcast relaunched for a set period. This is meant to prevent immediate mobilization after release. Now, let's talk about the internal Igbo mediation. Certain Igbo elders are pushing a soft landing deal. Kanu is freed quietly in exchange for claiming IPOP activities. This could include him issuing a peace statement to reduce sit-at-home orders. Political solution farming. Tinubu's camp wants the release to be branded as a political solution achieved through dialogue and not court victory. This allows them to claim credit and avoid admitting to human rights violation. Now, amnesty style offer. One of the proposal mirrors Niger Delta amnesty deals. Kanu's group could be granted political pardon in exchange for dropping secession, rhetorical, and engaging in peace talk. Now, let's look at the international pressure factor. US, UK, and UN have quietly pressured Nigeria to resolve the case. Federal government allegedly wants conditions that make it look like a voluntary reconciliation, not a forced compliance with international law. IPOP structure and clause. Another rumored term, Kanu distance himself publicly from IPOP armed factions. The government wants a statement that IPOP will pursue only legal and peaceful agitation. Now, non-disclosure agreements. Kanu's legal team may be asked to sign NDAs to prevent revealing details of the negotiation process, protecting the federal government's image. Now, in timing control, federal government may delay the release and announcement until close to October 10th or even December to control political impact and frame it as Tinubu-led with reconciliation. So federal government may actually want to delay the release announcement until close to that October 10th or even December to control political impact and frame it as a Tinubu-led reconciliation. That is what they may want to do. Seriously, I keep asking myself that these conditions that they're giving is not going to make sense. We found out that this condition is not going to favor Mazi Nnamdi Kanu at all, and I don't even think that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be agreeing to that sort of condition. Though the federal government have come out and told us, what the federal government told us is that they're not going to settle out of court. But according to some reports, people say that they have been going to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's legal team and their family, and they've been talking about how they're going to release him. They're going to release him conditionally, and how they're also going to release him unconditionally. So Let us look at the legal immunity clause. The federal government may demand that after release, Kanu drops all pending lawsuits against Nigeria for extraordinary retention and what illegal detention. This will shield the government from future compensation orders, both locally and internationally. Now, restriction of movement. One alleged term is that Kanu might be released but confined to Abuja or a specific part of the country for monitoring under what they call a supervised bail, similar to house arrest. It limits his ability to mobilize across what the southeast. Now, when I looked at all these bail conditions, it didn't really make sense to me because imagine restricting someone's movement. They have been alleging that if Mazin Nankali is released today, that this is going to be under what they call a similar to what house arrest. Like they're going to be monitoring his what movement, monitoring everything that he's doing. This is just like house arrest. It limits his ability to mobilize across what the southeast. And I look at all this thing. If you're saying that someone is free, if you say, oh, you want to release someone, and all of a sudden you're telling the person that he's not going to be going to this place, like you be giving the person the particular place he's going to go. I don't think it's making sense. I don't think it's going to work at all. It is not making sense. So, I look at all these things and I see it as the government are just trying to, make this man a political prisoner for life. That is what they're just trying to do. But I already know that Martin Namdekali is not going to agree to it because the man I know, Martin Namdekali I know, will not agree to this. Now, conditional amnesty for IPOB members. Part of the negotiation could include an offer for amnesty for detained indigenous people of Biafra members if Kanu agrees to publicly call for a cessation of all forms of agitation until a political settlement is reached. Now, another one is dialogue panel creation. Another rumored condition, Kanu will be asked to join or endorse a national dialogue committee on restructuring of federalism as an alternative to secession. This allows the government to frame his release as a step toward national unity rather than a win for Biafra agitation. So another one is avoidance of international court. The federal government is aware that if Kanu escalates the case to the International Criminal Court, that's ICC, after release, it could implicate officials in crimes of extraordinary redemption. They might make his release conditional on dropping all plans to approach ICCC or UN tribunals. Now, secret pardon versus public ruling. Instead of a full court victory, the government may use the prerogative of mercy secretly and frame it as a presidential pardon. So Kanu's release is seen as a favor and not a constitutional victory. Now, economic peace and incentive. Southeast governors are allegedly involved in the talks, asking Kanu to use his influence to come sit at home actions in exchange for his release. Federal government may tie his freedom to measurable reduction in economic disruption. Now, the role of diaspora and IPOB. Part of the condition may even involve Kanu making an open call to IPOB in the diaspora to suspend all activities, especially in Europe and the US, to reduce international pressure on Nigeria. That may also be part of the conditions they may actually give Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He may start calling for all these IPOB, indigenous people of Biafra in the diaspora, like in UK and the US, Europe, telling them to suspend every Biafra activities in order to reduce international pressure on Nigeria. So, delay strategy. Some insiders claim the federal government is dragging negotiations to where Kanu is legating down, so that by October 10th, they accept any term just to secure his freedom. Now, this is Tinubu's 2027 calculation. The biggest political angle, Tinubu wants to use Kanu's release as a bargaining chip to get southern eastern support for the 2027 election. Releasing him without condition removes that leverage. So expect conditions tied to political succession. That is what we should be expect. So, all these things. Now, I know that if they want to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they're going to give conditions, and I was fully aware that all these things are going to be his condition, like all these house arrests, because they already know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is this kind of person that's always speaking the truth. So they want to actually keep him one side. They want to actually be monitoring his footsteps, and I don't think it's going to work out. I don't think Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going to accept. Instead of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to accept this kind of condition, he would rather remain in DSS dungeon. I'm telling you, he would rather remain, because the man I know is someone that has openly, he's someone that would want to do anything. Like he would want to do anything to make sure that Biafra is actualized in Nigeria. This is a man that have laid down his life for Biafra. I don't think at all that he will accept this kind of conditions at all. Imagine conditions given to an innocent man. Imagine, this is really, really bad. Imagine a condition. It's not feel like he's a criminal, but see the kind of conditions they're giving to him. So guys, Now, a public unity statement. Federal government may also require Kanu to publicly what declare commitment to one Nigeria as part of his release. This would be used politically to, to neutralize the Biafra narrative and claim Tinubu was restored what unity. No travel abroad clause. A reported term is that Kanu would not be allowed to travel outside Nigeria for a set period of 1 to 3 years to stop him from mobilizing international what network. Now, medical release farming. Instead of political release, the federal government might attempt to frame it as a medical bail, making it look like compassion rather than surrender to what legal what pressure. Now, financial resistance. Federal government may freeze or monitor any financial transactions linked to IPOB or Kanu's account to weaken his ability to fund the movement after his release. So they may actually be looking into his account, his accounts now. The federal government may try to freeze or monitor his financial transactions by that financial transactions linked to IPOB or Kanu's account, in order to weaken his ability to fund the movement after his release, because they feel that the federal government is feeling that maybe once they release him, that Mazin and Kali may go back, to fund IPOB's movement. So they may actually start looking into, or they may try to freeze his account, or monitor his financial transaction. They want to know the money that comes into his account and the money that leaves his account. This is so bad. Now, suspension of legal appeals. Another time could be that Kanu's legal team drops the ongoing appeals challenging his redemption from Kenya to close the case quietly without exposing the government's illegal actions in court. Now, another one is neutralization of media channels. Federal government could demand that Kanu issues a directive to shut down Radio Biafra or hand over control to a neutral board as a sign of good faith. Now, another one is role of foreign government. Reports suggest that the UK High Commission is aware of the negotiation. Federal government may include a clause that Kanu's British citizenship is not to be used to escalate the matter internationally. Now, quiet release and no celebration. Federal government may insist on a low-profile release with no rallies, no victory march, and no massive public events to avoid giving the impression of a win over the Nigerian state. Another one is conditional engagement with IPOB. Kanu could be allowed to engage IPOB members only under monitored government approved conditions, ensure his influence is being controlled. Now, that one is Southeast security demands. Federal government might make his release conditional on helping reduce attacks on security forces in the Southeast. They could claim he must use his influence to restore peace as part of his deal. So these are the conditions that are going to be given to Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. And after going through these conditions, I really felt bad for Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. Like, why would they even want to even give him this kind of condition? And for me, I don't think Mazin Nnamdi Kanu will ever accept this kind of big condition at all, at all. Now, another one is signing a peace accord. Federal government may require Kanu to sign an official peace accord pledging to use only legal and political means for any agitation. This would be used as evidence that IPOB has been tamed and is now a lawful movement. Now, cooperation with security agencies. One rumored condition is that Kanu would have to work with security agencies to identify and call out violent elements claiming to act under IPOB's name. This would position him as a peace partner rather than a threat. Now, another one is limiting court testimony after release. Federal government may include a condition preventing attention from Kenya to cover up state involvement. Now, political bargaining too. Some insiders believe Kanu's release is being tied to wider political concessions, including possible agreements with Southeast governors to control indigenous people of Biafra activity during the election season. Now, rehabilitation narrative. Federal government could frame his release as part of a rehabilitation program, similar to how they treat repentant Boko Haram members, to make it look like Kanu came back, to reason. Now, mandatory medical checkup. There might be a clause requiring regular medical checkup in DSS or government approved hospitals, which doubles as a monitoring tool to track his movement. Now, no lawsuits against DSS officers. Federal government may insert a condition that Kanu cannot sue individual DSS officials or security operatives involved in his detention and alleged maltreatment. Another one is influence over diaspora chapters. One of the sticking points in negotiation could be federal government demanding Kanu use his authority to tune down IPOB diaspora branches, which are very active in the US, in the UK, and in the UE. Now, long-term surveillance. After release, federal government may require him to agree formally or informally to constant surveillance and restricted communication to limit his ability to coordinate. Now, timing with national event. Federal government might plan his release to coincide may plan his event to coincide with a major national celebration, example Independence Day or the Democratic Day, Independence Day or Democracy Day, so it can be branded as what, as a gift of unity. That is what may likely happen. So another one is community service what requirement. Federal government may include a clause where Kanu is required to engage what in national what reconciliation programs or community service campaigns to show he's now what pro unity. Now, conditional amnesty for IPOB armed members. Some proposals reportedly link his release to a general amnesty for armed IPOB or Eastern Security Network members if they surrender weapons, with Kanu acting as what a guarantor. Now, another one is for restricting his legal team. Federal government may demand that Kanu's current lawyers be replaced or limited in public statement, especially to those who have been critical of what of the government. Now, secret monitoring of communication. As part of the condition, federal government could require Kanu to agree to monitored calls and emails post-release, claiming it for what national security. Another one is what role in 2027 political bargains. His release may be used as a bargaining chip to ensure that the Southeast aligns politically with Tinubu in 2027, either openly or through quiet deals. Now, public appeal to end sit at home. Federal government could make his release dependent on issuing a recorded message telling IPOB and supporters to end all sit-at-home activities immediately. Now, for fortune of certain passports, he may be asked to surrender either his Nigerian or British passport temporarily to restrict his travel words and diplomatic words outreach. Now, another one is what no referendum clause. Federal government could push for Kanu to sign a declaration that IPOB will not seek a Biafra referendum while Tinubu's administration is in power. So another one is what diplomatic silence agreement. Kanu might be asked not to engage foreign governments or international bodies about Biafra for a certain period, cutting off the movement diplomatic front. Now, silent bargaining with northern leaders. Some sources suggest northern power blocks want assurance that Kanu will not use his release to destabilize national politics or advocate for secession during the 2027 election. That is like, these are like the conditions that will likely happen. So they may actually want to silent bargain with what they will do, a silent bargain with what northern leaders. That is the kind of conditions like they would want to what give Mazen Abdikali in order for his release. Now, conditional access to media. Federal government may insist Kanu avoid interviews with major news outlets immediately after his release to control what the narrative. Now, monitoring his associates. Another condition could involve surveillance and restriction on key IPOB members he interacts with post-release to weaken the group organization structure. Banning mass rallies. Federal government could include a term that Kanu must organize or attend large public rallies in the first 6 to 12 months after release to prevent mass mobilization. Now, political silence period. He might be required to stay away from making statements on national politics until a cooling off period ends, effectively muting him during sensitive political season. Now, quiet handover of Radio Biafra asset. There are speculations the federal government might want him to hand over or deactivate Radio Biafra infrastructure as part of the peace settlement. Now, redefining IPOB status. The government could demand that IPOB re-register as a social cultural group rather than a movement, shifting its legal standing. Amnesty in exchange for loyalty oath. A loyalty oath to Nigeria in return of amnesty for himself and detained IPOB members might be part of the package. Ban on lawsuits in foreign courts. Federal government might include a written agreement preventing Kanu or his team from pursuing cases against Nigeria in UK or US court regarding his redemption. Now, private meeting with Tinubu. Part of the conditions could involve a closed-door meeting. Yes, it could involve a closed-door meeting with Tinubu to create a symbolic peace photo for political use. Now, timing to neutralize IPOB anniversary. Federal government could plan his release date strategically so it doesn't coincide with any IPOB anniversary or significant Biafra Remembrance Day, reducing the symbolic power of his freedom. So this is what they may actually try to do. Now, signing a non-agitation covenant. Federal government might push for a written covenant where Kanu agrees to suspend all agitation activities for a specific period, example 3 to 5 years, under legal penalty if violated. Now, silent exit option. There are talks about a deal where Kanu would be secretly relocated abroad under what medical or humanitarian grounds with a condition not to return to Nigeria or engage with politically. Now, economic cooperation clause. Kanu might be asked to support federal government initiative in the southeast as a show of reconciliation, tying his name to federal project. Now, diplomatic face-saving statement. Federal government could demand a joint statement where both sides claim misunderstanding has been resolved to avoid admitting guilt for his redemption or his illegal detention. Now, Federal Amnesty Commission oversight. His release could be tied to being under the monitoring of an amnesty or reconciliation commission for a certain period, similar to ex-militant program. Now, ban on IPOB uniform parades. A specific condition may include outlawing any IPOB parades or public uniform gatherings as part of a peaceful deal. Now, monitoring of online activity. Federal government could include a term of restricting his use of social media and monitoring all online activities to prevent mobilization. Now, agreement on federal structure debates. Kanu may be asked to shift his agitation into a debate for restructuring Nigeria instead of outright secession, framing it as a constitutional dialogue. Now, quiet demobilization of Eastern Security Network. Federal government may tie his freedom to an informal deal to disarm and disband the Eastern Security Network, which is ECN, under a supervised demobilization process. Now, symbolic visit to Aso Rock. A post-release condition could include visiting Aso Rock for a symbolic for a symbolic handshake with Tinubu. For a symbolic handshake with Tinubu or federal government officials to demonstrate national reconciliation. Now, restricting federalizing network. Federal government could include a term requiring Kanu to distance himself from all IPOB federalizing platforms abroad to weaken the group financially. Now, secret recording of agreement. Yes, secret recording of agreement. There are speculations that any deal might be secretly audio or video. There's a speculation that any deal might be secretly audio or video recorded, so the federal government can use it later if Kanu denies the term. So, gradual release option. Federal government may plan a phased release first or medical bail, then limited freedom, only full freedom if he complies with set terms over time. Now, prohibition of court testimonies on redemption. A written clause might prevent him from testifying in any local or foreign court about his abduction in Kenya. Now, federal security escort requirement. Federal government may impose mandatory DSS or police escort wherever he goes, disguising surveillance as protection. Now, no public political endorsement. Another condition could be that Kanu avoid endorsing any political candidate or party until after 2027 to stop him from influencing elections. Now, censoring of legal team. Federal government might impose a gag order on his lawyers, restricting what they can publicly, demobilizing IPOB media wing. Federal government could make his release conditional or dismantling IPOB's online media platform that drive international awareness. Another one is delayed public appearance. His first public appearance after release could be delayed for weeks or months to weaken momentum and prevent immediate mass rallies. Now, trying to release national security emergency powers. Federal government might frame his release under national security provisions so they can rearrest him easily if they claim he violated security terms. So that is what they be likely to do. Now, post-release medical surveillance. Federal government might require all his medical treatments to be done in government. Federal government will require all his medical treatment to be done in government-approved facilities as a cover to track his movements, and interactions. Now, a ban on international legal advocacy. A condition could prohibit Kanu from engaging foreign human rights lawyers or NGOs to escalate his case internationally. That's after his release. Now, signing a confidential settlement. Signing a confidential settlement. Federal government may push for a private settlement agreement that permanently seals court documents relating to extraordinary redemption to avoid settling a legal precedent. Now, compulsory quarterly checking. DSS might require him to report to their office every few weeks as part of a supervised release, allowing constant monitoring. Now, suspension of IPOB independence charter. Federal government could demand IPOB officially suspend any charter or declaration calling for an independent Biafra as a sign of what? Compliance. Now, restricting diaspora leadership influence. He might be asked to restructure IPOB leadership abroad or publicly do what? Or publicly call for a pause in their activities to show what? Cooperation. Now, signing a non-secession guarantee. Federal government could request a signed guarantee stating that he won't pursue secession while Tinubu is in power, turning his release into what? A political what? Contract. Now, solve amnesty in exchange for national peace tower. Kanu may be asked to participate in a federal peace and unity tower around Nigeria to demonstrate his commitment to what? National stability. Agreement to avoid certain states. Federal government might bar him from visiting certain southeast states viewed as IPOB stronghold to limit his ability what? To mobilize massive what? Support. So another one is creating a peaceful IPOB charter. Federal government could make his release dependent on IPOB adopting a new constitutional community to peaceful dialogue only with Kanu as what the signatory. So these are the conditions that they may actually want to give Mazi Nnamdi Kanu before his release. So I've been seeing many comments here. People have been saying that someone here said let's start from the first comment. Someone here said, Chidi said, is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu not going to court? Why are they giving him condition? You should not say yes. He has come a long way to the prison to come take any condition. Nigeria has said, exactly, like I told you guys, to be honest, I don't think that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going to accept this condition. Do you know that this man has come a long way? He has come a long way self to take any condition. Do you know a man has been in prison since 2021, and all of a sudden they are coming out to give him such a condition that his movement to be restricted, and that his movement to be restricted, and he's going to renounce Biafra. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should never accept to the federal government conditions. No, you should never accept to this. Their conditions is bad. Is the worst condition ever. And another comment here says all these conditions to free him. I don't think Kanu will comply once it's against agitation. I'm telling you guys the honest truth. Once he has to do anything about renouncing Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will never agree to that. He will never agree to such a thing. Now, conditional pardon linked to what? Future behavior. Federal government could make his release a conditional pardon, meaning if they judge that he breaks any term, they could revoke his freedom without a new trial. Now, restrictions on religious platform. Kanu might be prohibited from using churches, town halls, or traditional platforms to spread what? Political message after his release. Now, diplomatic silence period. Federal government might set a fixed period, example, 1 to 2 years, where he cannot meet foreign diplomats or international organization regarding Biafra or human rights. That is like what is going to happen. So guys, I want to play you guys this video so you guys will listen to what the lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that is what Maxwell Okpara, have to say about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release, as well as the condition that Tinubu is given. And I will write back again to analyze more on the reason why Tinubu gave this his conditions. Guys, just watch this video and I'll be right back.
Calm down. The reason Nnamdi Kanu, have a discussion with him. You have been having a discussion with bandits and the so-called repentant Boko Haram. Tell me the offense of Nnamdi Kanu, because he's agitating for self-determination, which is his own constitutional fundamental rights granted to him by the constitution and the law.
Well, the government's angle is not because of the agitation, because they know that everyone has a right to agitate, but they said the way he was going about it, like and then people were being incited. Well, that's even not what I'm trying to say.
What of the wife of the president incited people during the election? The wife of the president, he incited people that Igbo should go. What of the one of Lagos said that Igbo should go and fall into lagoon? What of those that came out and said that Igbos will not vote? If you are not voting for APC, you will not vote. What happened to them? Has anybody been arrested? That Nnamdi Kanu said something, then you now term that thing he said as is a terrorist, is a crime of terrorism. You charge him for terrorism. His own lawful organization that is registered in almost all the whole countries in America and Europe and Asia, and you now came to Nigeria, you term it a terrorist organization. Now you are now saying that now that IPOB is being recognized in almost all the whole countries, America and Europe. So you are now saying that America, France, Germany, they are recognizing a terrorist organization because you don't want anybody to agitate. You want to suppress anybody. If you talk, kill him, suppress him, jail him. in a country that is predicated on a constitutional governance. It cannot work like that.
Okay, let's get back to the ministerial nomination of Bianca Ojukwu, because you said he took away one from Anambra and brought in another. But remember that the president took away the minister based on the KPI results that came out, which he was not even the one, that did the evaluation. It was the result given to him, with which he did that, meaning that if actually the minister had performed, above board in the KPI, he wouldn't have had any reason to remove her rather.
Now, still on that ministerial list, we have 48 of them, am I right? And we have 36 states in this country, including FCT 37. So, apart from Southeast, that have only 5, every other region have more than 6, apart from Southeast. Now, check since 1999, we have been having series of presidents. Just let's use what is going on now. The president is from where? Vice is from where? Speaker is from where? Senate President is from where? CJN is from where? Court of Appeal President is from where? National Industrial Court President is from where? Chief Judge of Federal High Court is from where? And they are saying that the people of Southeast belongs to this country.
Are you sure Max, are you sure you're not? I mean, it's just like what I said too. I mean, isn't it time we started to be less sentimental about this diversity?
We have to apply it now. We are saying that the only people that are qualified to hold on this position, nobody from South is qualified. On what basis?
Are you sure that
but the chief of Naval Staff is from the Southeast?
Huh?
The chief of Naval Staff?
From where? I'm talking about the key position. Number 1 person, number 2 person, number 3 person, number 4 person, number 5 person. The key position. We have 3 arms of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the parliament. You can never see anybody from Southeast there. Now, the point we are talking about is that when I'm not even talking about, I'm in court about lopsided appointments.
Okay.
I can avail that my process because I did an intensive research in that process. File it, asking court to view whether this particular appointment, whether this particular governance is in line with Federal Character Establishment Act, an act of National Assembly that said that you should carry everybody along. Section 14 of the Constitution also said that you should carry everybody along. And we are not doing all these things. You are telling me that, yes, now that you have removed Kennedy Hanele and you are now brought in Bianca Ojukwu, that the people of Southeast will jubilate. Are you talking to idiots? Look at the people that you are talking about. Let me start with the source. In football, the people that have made Nigeria proud are the people of Southeast. In commerce, in aviation industry, name it. In academics, they are from people of Southeast. But when it comes to power, they are not qualified. And we want them to be happy. Listen, let me tell you, like today that is Monday, go to Southeast. And my annoyance is that these things are avoidable for Christ's sake. The one at Niger, the reason and the Kanu, let us start addressing this issue. This early morning, somebody sent me a clip, something they posted, that they said I think they said next week, the next 2 weeks, that there will be nothing like federal courts in the whole of Southeast. What do I mean by federal courts? Federal courts, National Industrial Court is a federal court. Federal High Court is a federal court. Court of Appeal is a federal court. Now, the judges that are there, most of them are not Igbos. Majority of them are not Igbos. How should you risk somebody to go and preside in the Court of Appeal or the Judicial Division, Oka Judicial Division, Enugu Judicial Division? How can you appoint somebody to go and preside in Federal High Court in the Southeast, National Industrial Court in the Southeast? And we are not even thinking about all this. And the judges are not even thinking about, So the point we are talking about is that when there is a problem, look for a solution. Personally, somebody like us, we are not even, I'm defending Nnamdi, one of his lawyers. So when they say so you people are not doing what you're supposed to do, the person that is calling you, don't even know him. He's using a hidden number to call you. You don't even know what they're talking about. The only thing that is that you went to court and you were unable to bring Nnamdi out. They're not even safe.
Okay, Maxwell, let me ask you this, because from what you're saying, I've also heard IPOB many times deny, allegations of being involved in some of the killings that happen in the Southeast and some of the, the ills that we see in the society. Even the sit-at-home in question, IPOB has also claimed that he has not asked anybody to sit at home. I don't know, get my point. So the point I'm making is that from what you're saying, it would look as if what you're actually trying to say is that it's because Nnamdi is being held,
yes,
that is why, the ills in the society in the Southeast has escalated. Does it have anything to do with him? That is what you're saying?
You know why? Nnamdi Kanu, IPOB is his initiative. He established it, he organized it. Now, when you now kidnapped him or adopted him, and unlawfully, because the Supreme Court have said that he was unlawfully brought into this country, and You kept him incommunicado. Everybody on his own. This one we kill, you said at IPOB. This one we maim, you said at IPOB. Everybody on his own. That's why I asked you the question, who is IPOB? The IPOB you know is Nnamdi Kanu. So Nnamdi Kanu, if Nnamdi Kanu is out, you will know who is who. Simon Ekpa will talk his own, Emma Powerful will talk his own, this one will talk his own, this one. Who is IPOB? That you are even talking. Simon Ekpa is in Finland. Emma Powerful, I don't know where he's operating from. Another person is operating from somewhere. Issuing threats. Just like the one somebody told me. I don't even know where that one is coming from. So the easiest way to do is the one that you know. Nnamdi Kanu. Then tell Attorney General, as he discontinue the charges against the president of Mieti Ala Kato, discontinue that of Showore, they are all terrorism. Tell them to discontinue that of Nnamdi Kanu. And allow Nnamdi Kanu to agitate. It is his right. I told you here the other day.
You see, that's where the problem is, really. The guarantee, that there will not be problems, even if Nnamdi Kanu is. Because you're saying allow him to agitate, and he goes about it the way he used to, like, the government have actually feared. That may also create more problems, don't you think?
Let me tell you, there are some things that you asked me the other day whether they are talking about condition giving Nnamdi Kanu. I told you one question. I said, if you give Nnamdi Kanu condition that he feel after meeting up that condition, he will still live like a human being, so be it. But when you give him condition and you are removing that made him a human being, he will tell you no. What is that made you a human being? That thing that makes you a human being is your ability to exercise your fundamental rights. And when somebody said, now I'm going to employ you here, I will be paying you $500,000 every month, but you will not talk, you will not move out, you say, do away with your job. When somebody said, I'm going to release you, but I'll cut one of your hands, say no. The agitation for self-determination is a fundamental right. And if you people fail to understand it, I can agitate that I need the Republic of Maxwell. Yeah. It is my right. Anybody can agitate. I don't even need crowd to follow me. It is when you now feel that you have gotten the necessary need the necessary qualities, then so be it. It is now left for the president who believe in democracy, who believe in government of the people by the people, to apply an initiative. What is the initiative? Release the person, start addressing all those issues that gave rise to this agitation. It has been there. Uwazirike was agitating during Obasanjo. A lot of people were agitating. So now that you have arrested, you come down Uwazirike that time, Nnamdi Kanu came up. Now that you have arrested Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa is there. I think this data from Ned Nwoko was telling you that even if you arrest Simon Ekpa today, another Simon Ekpa will come out. So the issue there is that address all those issues.
Right. So for you, it's not about ministerial appointment.
No. That one. Okay, that one is a complete distraction. That one should not come in. Okay. After coming in now, let Bianca come and address the Igbos in Enugu.
All right.
So, my people, you guys have listened to what Maxwell Okpara said, the lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, right? It's not just about the federal government giving conditions to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It's about fixing he's supposed to fix many things that made the rise of Biafra. He's supposed to fix what caused the rise of Biafra. Like, you guys know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu started this Biafra agitation because of the marginalization of the Igbos, right? And now, what the federal government would have done, the best advice I'll be giving to the federal government is that there's a reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is doing what he's doing. So, talk to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. What are the reasons? You already know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have mentioned about the way there's no seaport in the southeast, and the way some of the Igbo people are always, anytime they're sharing budget, they're always excluded, which is very wrong. And also in high positions in this country, Igbo people are not occupying that kind of position. So all those things are what is actually vexing, making Mazi Nnamdi Kanu angry. It's not better that the federal government, should fix all those things. You cannot give somebody condition and tell the person this is what the person should do when you haven't fixed what really caused the person to be doing that. The person will not agree. It's just like now, for example, it's just like now telling someone to maybe it's just like telling someone, okay, so I want you to stop doing this, but you've not actually talked to the person, you've not advised the person on the reason why he or she should not do it. That is just how it is. So you giving Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, oh, you need to tell Mazin Nnamdi Kanu we are going to give him bail conditions to stop doing this. You can't tell a man who have seen what Igbo people are suffering to stop giving him conditions on stone. No, he's going to continue because you have not solved this problem. If they have solved this problem now, I will say, okay, now the bail condition can serve. But they have not solved the problem and they're giving him bail conditions. I don't think it's actually going to work. I don't think at all. It's not going to work at all. So let us actually take a look at some comments from people. People are saying that someone here said after jailing him for all these years, even when they kidnapped him illegally, they should be talking about how they're going to pay him for the illegal kidnapping. Exactly. What they should be talking about is how they're going to pay Mazin Nnamdi Kanu for the illegal kidnapping. And all of a sudden, that they went ahead and started talking about how they're going to give him conditions. You must first of all tell him that you're sorry for everything that you guys have been doing to him. Give him all the things that he told you guys to give him, and that settles the case. Then, if you're not giving condition, it's fine. You can give any conditions you want to give. Now, I will go on with the conditions that the federal government say they want to give to Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. They said restriction on what religious platform. Kanu might be prohibited from using churches, town halls, and traditional platforms to spread political messages after release. Now, diplomatic silence period. Federal government may set a fixed period, example 1 to 2 years, where he cannot meet foreign diplomats or international organizations regarding Biafra or human rights. Now, strategic timing before national election. His release could be deliberately timed to manipulate electoral narratives, making his freedom part of a campaign tool rather than what justice served. Now, forcing indigenous people of Biafra to rebrand. Federal government may require IPOB to change its name or restructure to dilute the brand that has gained international recognition. Now, secret intelligence exchange. Some speculation suggests federal government may try to get Kanu to quietly share intelligence on violent splinter groups in exchange for freedom. Now, limiting his legal advocacy for others, a condition could restrict Kanu from publicly supporting or advocating for other separate or activities movements in Nigeria. Now, federal peace envoy role. Federal government might frame him as a peace envoy for the Southeast, making him part of the government narrative and reducing his revelatory image. Now, another one is post-release travel ban to Southeast. As extreme as it sounds, one rumored term could temporarily prevent him from staying in the Southeast to reduce immediate influence over IPOB supporters. Coordinated release with IPOB ceasefire. Federal government could make the release conditional on public ceasefire declaration by IPOB and Eastern Security Network, branding the event as a government brokered peace deal. So these are likely things that the federal government may give him conditions to do. That maybe if he doesn't do this condition, definitely he's not going. If he doesn't accept these conditions, maybe definitely he's not going to be released. For me, I feel this is not supposed to be done. No, it's not supposed to be done at all. Mazin Nnamdi Kanu should be given the right to do anything he wants to do. In fact, he's not a criminal, so why give him conditions? It's only criminals that they should be giving conditions. He's an innocent man. He never even committed any crime, so why the conditions? Before, we don't even need the prerogative of mercy. Prerogative of mercy is for criminals. What we need is justice. He deserves justice and not even the prerogative of mercy. So another thing that they may tell Mazin Nnamdi Kanu to do is signing a national loyalty oath. Federal government could demand Kanu to sign an oath pledging allegiance to Nigeria's unity to use as propaganda that the agitation has ended. Now, capping IPOB membership. A condition might require IPOB to restructure and cap its membership to a recognized civil movement instead of a mass political agitation group. Now, prohibiting public speeches for a period. Federal government could impose a 6 to 12 month ban on him giving public speeches, except pre-approved ones, to weaken his influence immediately after release. Now, limiting access to traditional leaders. He might be barred from holding political discussions with Southeast traditional rulers to prevent grassroots mobilization. Now, another one is conducting release on DSS oversight of IPOB. Federal government might make the due condition on DSS or a government representative overseeing IPOB meeting for a period of time. Another one is for releasing him under humanitarian grounds only. Federal government could release him under a compassionate health grant narrative to make it look like charity and not what legal defeat. So seizing IPOB assets, a time might involve freezing IPOB bank or transferring what assets under government watch while allowing what Kanu's release. Now federal government could engage prohibiting public criticism of government. Federal government could include a gang order banning him from criticizing Tinubu's administration or federal policies during the first years of what his release. Now, diplomatic swap narrative. His release might be tied to what Nigeria gaining some diplomatic leverage, branding it as a political negotiation with international players instead of what a domestic what victory. Now, linking release to Southeast economic stability. Federal government might tie his freedom to measurable economic peace in the southeast, holding him responsible for ending market shutdowns and sit-at-home what orders. So these are the things that they may likely what tell Mazin Nnamdi Kalu, to do. These are the conditions that might be given to him. So let us move on. Please stay with me in this video and also drop your comment below because we'll be having an interactive word section if you drop your comments below. Now, another one is what forcing Kanu to distance himself from Eastern Security Network. Federal government may require a public statement where Kanu disassociates himself from the Eastern Security Network, that's Eastern Security Network, to separate it from any alleged armed activities. Now, mandatory federal security clearance for meeting. A condition could require him to seek approval from DSS or NSA before holding any meeting with political or cultural leaders. Now, censoring his political media presence. Federal government might demand that all of Kanu's social media handles be controlled, monitored, or shut down to limit his reach after release. Now, rehabilitation narrative. Federal government could impose a time where Kanu is presented as having seen reason and is now working with the government in a reconciliatory role. Now, demobilizing IPOB youth wing, a specific term may require Kanu to call for the demobilization of the IPOB youth structure, seen as the movement was injured. Now, forcing natural public appearance, federal government could make him appear at non-political events, example, cultural or humanitarian programs, to change his image away from separatism. Now, requiring written reconciliation of secession, a formal signed document renouncing any attempt to pursue Biafra could be a key demand, even if only for propaganda. Now, linking release to regional federal projects. Kanu's freedom might be tied to publicly endorsing federal infrastructure projects in the southeast as proof of national unity. Now, creating a federal activities are placed under under a government that is So please don't forget to drop your comment below, and also please share this live. Drop your comments below, and also please don't forget to share this live and type on the comment section, free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Justice delayed is not what justice was denied. So guys, thanks for watching. See you guys again in my next live section.